Ever noticed how the most self-deprecating thing said about yourself comes from your own thoughts? It's a subtle yet persistent voice that we often don't even realize is even there. This is the voice of negative self-talk. It's that little whisper in your ear telling you that you're not good enough, that you can't achieve what you're aiming for, or that you're bound to fail. It's the voice that magnifies your mistakes and minimizes your achievements. It's the voice that in all its subtle cunning sows seeds of doubt and self-deprecation. These are all examples of negative self-talk, a phenomenon that, while common, is often overlooked. It's like a silent saboteur that chips away at our self-confidence and self-esteem, leaving us feeling less competent and capable than we actually are. Negative self-talk is a common but often overlooked issue that has far-reaching effects on our lives. So, what makes us become our worst critics? Well, let's dive into the psychology behind negative self-talk. First, we encounter cognitive distortions. These are irrational, inflated thoughts or beliefs that distort a person's perception of reality. They typically reinforce negative thinking or emotions, telling ourselves things that sound rational and accurate, but really only serve to keep us feeling bad about ourselves. For instance, you might tell yourself, "I always mess up everything," when in reality, you just made a minor mistake. Next, we have internalized negative feedback. From a young age, we receive feedback from our environment, parents, teachers, peers, media, and society at large. Unfortunately, not all feedback is positive or constructive. Negative feedback, especially when it's consistent, can be internalized and become a part of how we view ourselves. Over time, we may start to believe these negative views, leading us to engage in negative self-talk. Then there's the issue of self-esteem. Self-esteem is our overall sense of self-worth or personal value. It can involve a variety of beliefs about ourselves, such as "I am competent" or "I am worthy." When self-esteem is low, it's easy to fall into the trap of negative self-talk. We might start doubting our abilities and worth, leading to thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "no one likes me." All these factors interplay to create a cycle of negative self-talk. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, gaining momentum and size as it goes. The more we engage in negative self-talk, the more we reinforce those negative beliefs about ourselves, and the harder it becomes to break the cycle. But here's the thing, unraveling the psychology behind negative self-talk isn't meant to make you feel hopeless or stuck in a rut. Quite the opposite. It's meant to give you insight, to help you understand why you might be prone to being hard on yourself. Understanding the psychology behind negative self-talk is the first step towards addressing it. And with understanding comes the power to change. Remember, you're not alone in this. We all have our inner critics. But with awareness and effort, we can learn to quiet them down. The words we say to ourselves matter, but how exactly does negative self-talk affect us? Negative self-talk is more than just a bad habit. It's a toxic pattern that can have serious repercussions on our overall well-being. Firstly, let's talk about its impact on mental health. Consistently telling ourselves that we're not good enough, we're bound to fail, or we're unlovable can lead to feelings of anxiety and depression. This constant stream of negativity can make us feel hopeless and overwhelmed, trapping us in a cycle of self-doubt and fear. But the effects of negative self-talk aren't confined to our minds. Our bodies often bear the brunt of the damage too. Chronic stress, which can be exacerbated by negative self-talk, has been linked to a multitude of physical health issues, including heart disease, weakened immune system, and even premature aging. Essentially, what we think, we become. Our bodies respond to the way we think, feel, and act. And when those feelings are negative, our bodies tell us that something isn't right. It's also important to note that negative self-talk can strain our personal relationships. When we're caught up in our own spiral of negativity, we may project our insecurities onto others, which can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. We might also isolate ourselves, believing that we're a burden to others, which only serves to deepen our feelings of loneliness and despair. Furthermore, negative self-talk can stifle our productivity. When we're constantly telling ourselves that we can't do something, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We become our own biggest roadblock, preventing ourselves from reaching our full potential. We might procrastinate, make excuses, or even give up entirely, all because we don't believe in our own abilities. In essence, negative self-talk can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. We tell ourselves we can't, so we don't. We tell ourselves we're not worth it, so we don't try. And in doing so, we limit ourselves in every aspect of our lives. The effects of negative self-talk are far-reaching, impacting all areas of our lives. It's not all doom and gloom. There's a silver lining, the power of positive self-talk. In the midst of our battle with negativity, let's shift our focus towards this potent tool, a beacon of hope, positive self-talk. Now, what is positive self-talk? It's as simple as it sounds. It's the act of speaking to ourselves in a kind, uplifting, and supportive manner. It's the act of being our own cheerleader, our own coach, our own best friend. It's about telling ourselves, yes, I can do this, instead of lingering on the doubt. Positive self-talk is not about denying reality or ignoring the challenges we face. When a negative thought appears, end the thought by thinking the exact opposite. Try it. It's about acknowledging these hurdles and then choosing to focus on what we can control, what we can achieve, and the steps we can take to overcome these obstacles. It's about fostering a mindset that encourages growth, resilience, and positivity. The benefits of positive self-talk are tenfold. It boosts our mood, reduces stress, improves our self-esteem, and even enhances our physical well-being. It's like a mental pep talk that propels us to perform better, to strive harder, to reach for the stars. Let's consider some examples. Instead of saying, "I'll never get this right," we switch to, "I'm learning and improving." Instead of, "This is too hard," we say, "This is challenging, but I can handle it." We replace "I'm a failure" with "I'm learning from my mistakes and growing stronger." These small shifts in perspective can have a profound impact on our mental health and overall life satisfaction. But remember, positive self-talk is a skill, and like any other skill, it requires practice. It may feel awkward or forced at first, but with time, it becomes a natural and intrinsic part of our thought process. It's about consciously choosing to focus on the positive, to acknowledge our strengths, and to embrace our potential. So let's start today. Let's replace our negative chatter with uplifting affirmations. Let's be our own best friend, our own cheerleader. The power of positive self-talk is within our reach. We just need to grasp it. Positive self-talk can be a powerful tool in combating the negative chatter in our heads. Now that we understand the power of our internal dialogue, how can we start to change it? This is the question that brings us to the fifth part of our discussion: strategies to combat negative self-talk. One of the most effective strategies to combat negative self-talk is cognitive restructuring. This is a psychological technique that helps us to challenge and change our harmful and distorted thoughts. Think of it as a mental courtroom. In this courtroom, you are both the defendant and the judge. You present your negative thoughts as evidence and then critically evaluate them. Are they facts or just baseless assumptions? More often than not, you'll find that they are the latter. By doing this regularly, you can rewire your brain to think more positively. Another powerful tool in our arsenal is mindfulness. Mindfulness is about living in the present and accepting it without judgment. When we're mindful, we observe our thoughts and feelings from a distance, without getting caught up in them. This can help us to recognize when we're falling into the trap of negative self-talk, and provides us the opportunity to steer our thoughts in a more positive direction. Self-compassion is another crucial strategy. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would extend to a friend. So, the next time you find yourself harshly criticizing yourself, ask this: would I talk to a friend this way? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be talking to yourself that way either. Lastly, don't hesitate to seek professional help if negative self-talk is significantly impacting your daily life. Therapists and counselors are trained professionals who can provide you with personalized strategies and tools to manage and overcome negative self-talk. By implementing these strategies, we can start to change our internal dialogue and improve our mental well-being. Remember, the journey to positive self-talk may not be easy, but it's definitely worth it. Be patient with yourself and celebrate every little victory along the way, because you are worth it. As we've journeyed together through this exploration of negative self-talk, we've uncovered key insights about its psychological roots, its effects on our well-being, and the immense power of positive self-talk. We've discovered that negative self-talk, often rooted in our fears and insecurities, can be a heavy burden, dragging us down into the depths of stress, anxiety, and even depression. But we've also talked power of positive affirmations, the light that can guide us out of that darkness. We've shared strategies to combat negative self-talk, from mindfulness to cognitive restructuring, offering you a toolkit of ways to challenge and change the narrative within your mind. Let's be mindful of our self-talk and recognize when it's negative, and to consciously strive to replace it with positive empowerment. Remember, the words you say to yourself matter. Choose them wisely.